Well, it's been a while since I made a video, so I figured I got a little thing that I'm going to talk about here, and I'm going to take this camera off the tripod, and I'm going to see if I can show you what I'm talking about. This frame stay right here, or chain stay as they want to call it, it's getting pretty beat up, and the reason is when you go over curbs or bumps and potholes and things like that, this chain it's slapping on that chain stay and it's nicking it up. So let me see if I can show you. I don't know if it'll focus, if I can get close enough to it. Yeah, you can kind of see it. See, at first I thought it was dirt, and I was just cleaning the bike one day and I was like, oh, that's not dirt, that's actually the paint's chipped. So if you remember, back when I put this bike together, I talked about all the stuff that it came with, and what did they give you? They gave you this. A little bottle of touch-up paint. And what's really cool, and I checked it out, you don't even need a brush. It's got one in it. Let's see if I can show you here. I'll stand on the back side of the camera. And it even has, I mean, this is a little tiny bottle of paint, but it's even got a little brush with it. So I'm going to go ahead and touch this up. But before I do that, I'm going to clean it off with some brake parts cleaner. So I'm just going to get a rag, and I like to use brake parts cleaner because it evaporates right away, and it's going to clean all the oil off that, you know, maybe might have come off the chain. So I just spray some on a rag, and I'm just going to wipe this down and remove the oil so the paint will stick. And this is going to dry real quick. Okay, so I'm going to pause for a second here. Alright, so my brake parts cleaner should be evaporated now. And like I said, I see there's a few chips here. And this is, you know, just from hitting potholes and bumps in the road. And the chain slapping on it. So I'll just do a quick little touch up here. And that's all there is to it. Went pretty quick. Now you don't have to worry about the frame rusting. This is just cosmetic is all it is. This is an aluminum frame, so it's not going to rust. Alright, so I got the touch-up paint on. I'm going to give it a little time to cure. It shouldn't take long for it to dry. But I'm going to talk about something else here. On Betty's bike, you can see on her chain stay here, hers came with a pad. I don't know if you can see it. I'm kind of in the garage bending over the bike. And it's just a neoprene pad, and it velcros on. But you know, now when her chain slaps on it, it hits that pad. It doesn't hit the frame. You know, in any bike with a derailleur, it's going to do that. So I thought, well, that was kind of a neat thing that Edmonton did on their bike. And so I did a little homework and did a little searching on Amazon, and what do I come up with? Can you see it? What's it say there? Chain stay pad. Alright, this one says race face. It just sounds cool. Alright, it's got their logo in it. So what I'm going to do, this one's probably going to end up being a little bit long. You can see it's you know, from this bracket here that the foot peg mounts onto to where the cross frame is, it probably needs to be cut right about here, I'm guessing. But I'm going to wait for the paint to dry, and then I'm going to take this out of the package and I'm going to see how it fits. I might just notch one side of it rather than just cutting it all the way through. We'll see. But then that should prevent it from chipping it up in the future. So another thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to take the foot pegs off. Why? Because I never ever have a passenger on here, and I never will have a passenger on here. So why have them? I ride solo. Nobody ever rides with me. So I might as well just go ahead and remove those. All it is going to be is something for me to bang my ankles on. So let's see what size is the bolts on this. That is a 6mm. Nope, that's too big. Let's try a 5. Is this a 5? Yeah, this is a 5. Yep, that one fits, no problem. So today's the day. Off comes the foot pegs. Now the bike, she needs to be wiped down. It really does. I mean, I wipe it down quite often, but I've had a couple of mornings where it rained at night. Oh, look, you can see the blue Loctite in there. One thing I will say about this, every bolt on this thing has been Loctited. Now, I could put these back in, but I'm worried about if I do, this is such a long bolt that the chain may hang up on it, so I'm not going to do that. I'll just leave them out. Maybe I'll look around and see if I can find a shorter screw to put in there, just to keep the holes clean, in case I ever do want to put these back on. You know, if I ever sell the bike or something, you're going to want to give these back, you know, with whoever would buy the bike. So I'm going to hang on to them. I'll just go up here in the toolbox. Alright, let's get the ones off on this side. This is also why I think that it has such a stiff spring in it. Excuse me, my allergies are always going nuts. I think that the reason it has such a stiff spring is because this was originally set up, you know, so that you could ride a passenger. I never do. So it's way too stiff for me. This is still something that I'm working on. Trying to get a softer spring. I'm going to pause the camera here for a minute. So anyway, I've reached out to Avonton about the shock spring and, you know, it being too stiff. Now, the shock itself works fine. It's just the spring's too stiff. So really all you need to do is change the spring. And, you know, I could probably do that for, I don't know, I'm guessing $50 probably. I could probably come up with another spring. There's all kinds of springs. All you got to do is measure the outside diameter, the inside diameter, and the length of the spring. And this one says right on it, at least it used to anyway. I can't find it right now. But anyway, it's a 1,000-pound spring. Oh, there it is. It's right here. It says 1,000 pound. Way too stiff. Realistically, you want about a 500, 600-pound spring. Somewhere in there. I think most of the springs on the aftermarket are 550-pound springs. And that would soften it up quite a bit. Alright, here we go. That cleaned her up a little bit. So I reached out to Avonton. Their new bike. Let's see if I can get this. The new model of the aerial rider. It has a softer spring. So they listened to their customers, and when they redesigned the bike, they put a softer spring on it. So, like I said, I reached out to Aventon and said, hey, can I get one of these shocks? Because it's a different style shock. It's an upgrade. So, let's see if I can get on this bike in the garage. I don't think so. Alright. So anyway, the spring from Aventon is a softer spring. And then, the whole new shock assembly on the new bike. They did a lot of upgrades to the bike. They changed the headlight, and they changed the rear spring, and there was a couple other things they did. I can't remember what it was. But not enough to make me say, oh, I don't want my bike anymore. I'm going to get a new one. This bike is, I love it. I got it set up the way I want it, and it suits me just fine. I want to soften up the rear end. It's a little stiff. It kind of pounds on you a little bit. So I reached out to them, and I said, can I get one of the new springs? The problem is they don't have them yet. It's so new that they don't have it. The guy, he did get back with me in a couple of emails and messages and said, well, when we get them, I'll get in touch with you. Well, I don't know if they really will. They're probably not going to remember. I would really like to get a spring from Aerial Rider. I keep saying Aventon because my girl's got an Aventon Aerial Rider, whatever. Anyway, so I reached out to Aerial Rider, and I had a conversation with them about obtaining one of the springs for the new bikes. And like I said, he said he'd contact me, but I may never hear from him again. I would like to keep, the only reason that I would like to do it, and I would even spend more money to get the whole shock assembly. There again, only because if I ever sold the bike, I could have the original shock and the foot pegs, and it would be set up for whoever might buy it. I don't see myself getting rid of this bike anytime in the near future, so I want to soften it up, and I know that if I got the shock from them, it's going to fit the bike. It's going to bolt on. I'm not going to have any issues. It's a simple thing. Unbolt the one, bolt the new one on. Dial in the spring a little bit, with a little preload, and you're good to go. So that's another thing that I have in the works yet for this bike. So you see I got my top box on here, right? This is how this bike looks 99% of the time. The only time I take the top box off is if I'm just going for a casual ride on the weekend. Betty and I go for a ride, but I ride this bike every day. If it's not raining, this is what I commute back and forth with to work. Let's see. Last time I put gas in my Toyota Tacoma, and I only drive it on rain days, so I don't use much gas, but the last time I put gas in it, it was 5 weeks. And at today's prices at $5 a gallon, I put $27 in it. So, the Aerial Rider is saving me a ton of money. And, not only that, I have an absolute ball on this thing. It is just so fun. I just love riding it. So, I did the sprocket upgrade. So let's talk about a couple things here. I did the sprocket upgrade, and it allows me to, on pedal assist level 4, I can pedal it and still feel some resistance, and I average about 23 miles an hour. Now I can get it up to 25 if I go to pedal assist level 5, but I don't really feel much resistance in the pedals at that point, and my feet are going around at 100 miles an hour, and I feel like I'm trying to run on water. So it's not enjoyable. I just don't do it in pedal assist 5. If I want to go any faster than 23 miles an hour, I use the throttle. 23 miles an hour is more than adequate, in my opinion, for commuting back and forth to work. So this is what I've been doing. It's summertime here in Michigan. It's really hot, and it's humid, and I don't do well in the heat. So what I do is in the morning when it's cooler, I pedal to work, and I pedal hard. And by the time I get done with work, and I get off work and I get on the bike, I still got 5 bars on the battery. All right, so then I pretty much throttle almost all the way home. just because it's hot. I don't want to pedal. I don't want to get all sweated up. I got plenty of battery juice left, and I just use the throttle, and I throttle all the way home. Now, having said that, I don't run full throttle. I don't know why. I just don't. I kind of keep it around 25, 27, somewhere in there, and it's fast enough. I mean, it's plenty fast. But the bike itself, man, I'm telling you, I got a little over 500 miles on it now. Let's see what I got. Let's see, I'll turn it on. I just took it off the charger. I got 576 miles on it. I've had no issues, not one. The only thing I've had an issue with, and I gotta fix it yet, is there's a break in the wire for my auxiliary lights, and it's down here. And when the lights are on, if I turn the wheel, this light has, these lights, you know, with the switch, they have three positions. They have low, they have high, and they have strobe. So every time I turn the wheel, it cuts it off. So it'll go low, it'll go high, and then it'll strobe, and then I'll shut it off, and it'll go low. And then if you move the handlebars, it'll go to high, and if you move the handlebars, it goes to the strobe thing, and it's annoying. There's a break in the wire. The wires that I use to connect to the battery, I bought those plugs, and there, you know, there's a length of wire on the plug where it plugs into the battery. Really, really thin gauge wire. Okay, inside the bag, it's not a big deal because they're not going to move. But over here, you know, this, you know, you're turning the wheel all the time, and if you take a piece of wire or a coat hanger and you continuously bend it, eventually it's going to break. And that's what's happened with the wire. It's such a thin wire that it just broke. So one of the things that I got to do is I got to take this loom apart and get in here into the wiring, and I got to add a section of heavier wire to the wiring. But other than that, everything has been great. The phone holders worked out really, really well. You know, a lot of guys mentioned to me that I got it on upside down, and I know that. There's also a lock on the bottom of it, so you can lock it in place. I don't know, I never use it, but it's got one on here. Let's see. I don't even know how to use it. I've never used it. Oh, there we go. And then it'll lock it in place. And then if you unlock it, it'll snap back. All right, so that's it. The mirrors, only problems I've had with the mirrors is I've had to tighten up the pinch bolt a couple times. I don't know why, but in time when you're riding and, you know, bouncing around, hitting a lot of bumps, the mirrors, they seem like they tend to move back. So I've tightened up the pinch bolts on these twice now, and it takes care of the problem. So other than that, tires. Let's talk about the tires. I put these Shinko 244s on here. Yeah, they're heavy. It's added some weight to the bike. They're wearing really, really well. All the rubber knobbies are worn off except for the outer edge here. I guess I just don't lay it over that far when I go around a corner. But all the molding nubbins are gone off of, you know, this section of the tire. Holding up really, really well. And I tell you, where I ride, there's broken glass everywhere. And there's just garbage in the road. I see nails and staples and tons of broken glass, and by the time you see it, it's too late. You already rode through it. And I've not had an issue. I've never even found anything sticking in my tire. I've not had one flat on this, almost 600 miles, and I've not had one flat on it. Now, I carry stuff in my tool bag here. In case I do get a flat, I can change it while I'm on the road, but I've never had an issue. So I would highly recommend those tires to anybody. Yeah, they got the off-road knobby look. I don't off-road it. I've never even had it down a dirt road, I don't think. A couple of times down by the marinas, but I don't take it trail riding or anything like that. It's strictly it's a city commuter bike for me. You know, I've had a lot of people say, oh, it looks like you could go off-road with it. And I'm like, well, yeah, you probably could. But that's not really what it's designed for. It really wasn't. You know, I just say the only reason I got these tires on here is because they're tough. They've proven themselves, in my opinion. I have not had any issues at all. If I was to get one of these tires damaged, you know, in some way to where it wasn't repairable, I'd put the same ones back on it. I really would. The knobs are so thick that glass and nails and things like that just don't get through it to puncture the tube. So, I mean, everything else is held up pretty good. No problems with the sprocket mod that I did. Like I say, it doesn't have a chain guard on the inside. It only has it on the outside. I'm trying to find one to go on the outside, and it's a little hard to find. And the only reason is I've had a couple of times where like handicap ramps were kind of rough. You know, it was like going off a curb almost. And there's been a couple times where, you know, the chain, it does bounce around a lot, and it's happened twice now going over something like that the chain has come off, and it's not a big deal. I mean, it goes right back on. It comes off the front sprocket and it just goes right back on, and I haven't had any issues. But twice in almost 600 miles, not a big deal. So when I see a major bump like that, I either slow down or I don't pedal. You know, this way the chain can slap and it doesn't come off the sprocket if you're not pedaling, so it's not a big deal. What else can I talk about? Not one problem with the bike. I mean, nothing. Not a thing. Nothing's loosened up. Nothing's fallen off. I haven't had any issues. I charge it up every day when I come home, so I got a full battery when I'm ready to go in the morning. Everything seems to work good. The front suspension works good. You can see I'm getting like this much travel on the suspension, you know, and with the tires, it's enough. It's enough to soften up most of the, you know, the cracks in the concrete and stuff like that. I did pump the tires up a little higher. When I first started using these tires, I kept them about 20 psi, and that was probably a little bit low. I mean, they felt okay in my hand. You know, I gave it the squeeze test, and they felt okay, but you know, they had a little bit of give. Well, I noticed if I was throttling or pedaling or whatever, it didn't coast very far. I mean, it wouldn't coast far at all. So I upped the pressure. I think they say you can put 32 psi in these tires, and I put 30 psi in them, and they're a little bit harder, and the ride's a little bit harsher, but I have far less rolling resistance. So I think I gained like a mile or two an hour. I think my indicated on the speedometer on this bike is 32. I mean, I've seen some guys out there, they're getting more than that out of it, but you know, it is what it is. It's fine. It's more than adequate. So I'll talk about something else here. I talked about it on one of my rides. What's missing in my garage? What do you not see? You do not see a big old honking BMW motorcycle. I talked about it in one of the rides. I hardly ever rode it. Ever since I got these e-bikes, that's what I'm on. I open the garage, I jump on one of these and take off. It's lighter, it's easier, it's more fun. I wasn't riding the BMW anymore, so I sold it. Now, I'm going to see how things go. Maybe next spring, I might buy a scooter. I'm looking at a couple of them. We'll see how it goes, and this is how it is for me. I'm an older fella, okay? I'm officially a senior citizen now. I turned 62. Makes me eligible for Social Security, so I'm an eligible senior citizen now. What I've been doing is I've been downsizing everything. I quit driving these big old trucks that I was driving, and I got my little Toyota Tacoma truck, and I just love the crap out of that little truck, and it's all I need. It does everything I want it to do. I don't need anything more, and it's a whole lot less expensive. All right, so and it's durable. It's tough. They never break. So anyway, so I'm downsizing. So I did the same thing with the motorcycle. I'm going to downside the motorcycle. What I want to do is I want to get something that's a little lighter in weight and just easier to ride and more pleasurable. So why do I think I want to go with a scooter? Well, I think about machines and toys that I've had in the past, and I think about, you know, I had a Polaris four-wheeler, and I had snowmobiles, and they were all torque converter systems, twist and go, no gears, and they went fast as could be, and I never wanted for anything more. And what I learned from that, what it taught me was, let's just say if I was snowmobiling or four-wheeling, I could concentrate on just where I was going. I didn't have to worry about what gear I was in and, you know, changing gears all the time, and it allowed me to just look around, look at the scenery, enjoy things, and just enjoy the ride. So that's kind of what I'm looking at for the scooter. So if I want to go someplace farther than I can get on one of these bikes, and I want to go on a little further ride, you know, maybe, you know, Betty and I want to go for a ride up north and go see the fall colors or something like that, then we can jump on the scooter and take off and do that. So I'll never be, I don't think I'll ever be without a motorcycle. I think that when my legs won't carry me anymore, I'll probably be on a three-wheeler. But for now, I want to downsize. I want something lighter in weight. I want something that carries the weight down lower. Most of the, you know, the last few motorcycles I've had were big and heavy. I had a Goldwing 1800. I had that big BMW, and you know, I'm done with that. Been there, done that. You know, kind of time to move on, kind of a thing. So, like I say, I'm having a ball on the bikes. Now I sold the BMW. I made some room in my garage so I can tinker around a little bit more, and so that's the plan. Downsize. Now you see in my garage. I don't know if you can see here. You see behind all the other usual crap that you have in your garage. You know, your lawnmower, your generator, you know, your dollies and ladders and stuff like that. What do you see behind all that? I got a ton of wood. I'm a woodworker. That's my thing. You know, my basement, you saw me put this thing together, you know, the bikes together in the basement. I did it in the wintertime. I did it in my wood shop. So now it's freed up, you know, access for me to get into my wood pile a little easier when I need something. So, oh, I know what else I can talk about. Here's another thing. This helmet. This is the ILM helmet. Well, it's dusty from being in the garage. I only wear this in the spring and the fall. So I only wore it in the spring. And the only reason I wear it is because I ride on days when it's cold, you know, 30, 40 degrees, whatever. And it keeps my ears warm and it keeps my face warm. The only problem that I'm having with it, there's no way I can put this sun shield down because my breath, I'm pedaling. I pedal in the morning. And so I get breathing kind of hard and my breath instantly fogs it up and it fogs my glasses up really bad. So what I want to do is I'm going to go back to my snowmobiling days and I'm going to get a breath deflector, and it'll probably Velcro into the helmet somewhere, and it just covers your nose and it directs the air, you know, that you exhale down, and hopefully that'll take care of some of the problem, you know, some of that problem. But other than that, man, this helmet has been really comfortable. I really dig it. But I don't wear it in the summer. It's just too darn hot. You know, right now it's cloudy here. Oh, I don't know what temp it is. Let's see what the temp is. Let's see what my phone says. It says it's 75 degrees, but it is humid. I mean, you can just see it in the air, the humidity in the air. And then we're supposed to get some rain tonight. So, you know, it's hot. I wear, you know, a lightweight bicycle helmet when I'm riding the bike most of the time. I just don't deal with the heat very well. I'm standing out here, and 75 degrees doesn't sound hot, but the humidity is so high. I'm standing out here and I'm not even doing anything and I'm just sweating. So anyway, so that's enough for me jibber jabbering, talking about, you know, kind of like an impromptu 500-mile review of the bike. Would I change anything on the bike? What would I like from Aerial Rider? What I wish that my biggest wish on this bike is I would like another battery. I want to see, I don't know if I can do it or not, I want to see if a Grizzly battery will fit in here. I would like it in here. I don't want one of those triangle batteries that hangs down underneath it. I just don't like the way they look. I don't want that battery, you know, swinging around and all that kind of stuff. So I want to see if the rear battery on a Grizzly, if it'll fit under here. And if it does, I'll make a cage for it that I can bolt on underneath the seat and underneath the, you know, the rear box here, and just to give me a little more range. But that would be my only, you know, big wish list from Aerial Rider. They took care of a lot of the things that, you know, customers complained about. The headlight that's on it, it's okay. It doesn't do a whole lot. The lights that I put on it, yeah, they're the ones that light up the night. I guess they changed the rear tail light. They might have put turn signals on the new bike too. I think that's kind of cool. The only thing that I wish that they would do out of the factory is put a bigger sprocket on it like I did. I never take it out of top gear. It always stays in top gear. I don't really shift it much. I could actually go with a fixed sprocket if I could find one small enough in the rear and do away with the derailleur altogether. But you got to have the derailleur because it's a swing arm, and it's got to have, you know, some give in the chain. But other than that, I really wouldn't change anything. I mean, other than the things that I did. But look, no manufacturer can make one bike that's going to fit everyone. Like for me, okay, not everybody wants the high handlebar, but I do, so no big deal. I changed it. A lot of people like the lower handlebar. If I was younger, maybe, but now where I'm at in my stage of life, it's much more comfortable for me to have this upright handlebar. I really like it. The bike is tall enough, and like I said, I'm 5'9". I can pedal this all day long. It's a little hard to get on and off the bike with this trunk on here, but you know, that's not a big deal. When the trunk is not on there, I can just swing my leg over it. It's no big deal. But this trunk it's functional, and I got to have it to carry all my stuff to get to work, so it works for me. So my only wishes from Aerial Rider would be, you know, they already fixed one thing. They put a better headlight on it. Might have put a horn on it too. I don't know if they did that or not. And you know, the softer shock. I wished I had a softer shock, and I wished I had a dual battery. I wish that they would make a kit for a dual battery on it. They're probably not going to do it. I'm not going to wait for them to do it. I'm probably just going to do it on my own. I might go with their battery. I might go with an aftermarket battery. I don't know yet. So I'm kind of waiting to see what, you know, kind of batteries Chai Systems comes out with, because I guess their batteries are awesome. And I may use one of theirs. So we'll see how it goes. This year, I probably won't do anything with it. If I do that, it would probably be a winter project. Right now, I don't want to take it out of service. I'm riding it. So when it's snowing here in Michigan, yeah, that's when I do major modifications and, you know, change things up. So the only thing that I'm going to do on this is, like, I wished that I could have gotten a Grizzly with one motor. For me, driving on the street, I don't need two motors. I really don't. That's just something else to break. This thing does, it's more than adequate with the one motor. It's such a big motor that it's fine. I don't have any issues with it at all. I just, you know, the only reason I would want a Grizzly is for the dual batteries. I don't need the dual motors. Really don't. Oh, and the other thing on this. Okay, I do have one other flaw with this, and it's not just on this bike. It's on all bikes that use these damn Tektro brakes. They suck. Okay, and the reason I say that is the stopping power on them is phenomenal. The mechanical aspect and how they work is really, really good. But almost every person that has them, I don't care what you do to them, sooner or later, they're going to squeak. And it's annoying as hell. Now, I haven't had any problems with the front brake squeaking. I can't get the back brake to stop squeaking. I'll fiddle around with it, I'll clean it, I'll mess with it, I'll scuff up the pads, I'll put it together, and it'll be good for a little while, and then it starts squeaking again. And it's chatter, it's vibration is what it is. And I wish they had better brakes on them, but hey, well, you know, you get what you pay for. I bought this bike in a price point. I paid $2,200 for it. You want to get a bike with better brakes? That's going to cost you $5 grand, $8 grand to get better brakes. You know, because it's going to come with a lot of other stuff too. So, for what I got here for the money, I couldn't be more happy with this bike. I get asked about it everywhere I go. People always comment on it. I talk to people about it. I educate people about it. I talk to the cops about it all the time. They're interested in it. They dig it, you know. They've never given me a hard time. But there again, I don't do anything stupid, you know. But you know, I educate them on the bikes, and you know, look, it's a pedal bike. It's a bicycle. It looks like a motorcycle, but it's a bicycle. And that's what confuses people, you know. They look at it at first and they think it's a bicycle or a moped, and it's not. It's a bicycle. And so I spent a lot of time talking to people about it. So, all right, well, I'm going to shut this camera off. I'm going to wait for that paint to dry. And then the next time I turn it back on, maybe I'll be putting that pad on it. Okay, so I got that pad on. And so all I did was I notched it right here to clear that little cross tube, and it just velcros on. I like it. It contoured real nice. It's got plenty of clearance here between the sprocket. I was able to get it on nice and tight, and that should keep it from getting beat up. So we'll see how this goes. Alright guys, that's it for today. I'll take my scissors in the house and put the bike away, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Oh, I guess I'm supposed to be saying this. Apparently, I'm the only guy on the internet or on YouTube that doesn't do this. If you like the stuff that I'm doing, if you like the stuff that I'm talking about, like and subscribe. Comment. I answer my comments. People ask questions all the time. They comment on my bike, and I answer it, you know. So if you like what I do, like and subscribe. I'll be doing more, not just on bikes, but I do a bunch of other stuff too. So thanks, and safe riding, and enjoy your e-bike.